Alright, we're with the Enumclaw FFA. Today we're presenting you the ag issues. And this is basically an agriculture topic that we picked and we're going to debate, but we will not end for or against the topic. And once we're done, we advise you guys to ask us questions, if any. Thank you.
Rebecca, it has been so long since I've seen you. You know, I can't help but notice what kind of corn you have selected. Are you aware that that corn has been genetically modified? Of course not, because it is not clearly labeled. Who knows what it could be doing to you and your family? You couldn't possibly want you or your children to consume something that could potentially hurt them, do you?
Of course not, Kelly. But I have never heard of a genetically modified organism. What is it exactly, and what can it be doing to my family and I?
Rebecca, you know I'm a mother of 5, and I would never let my family consume this corn. The fact is that most families have no idea that most of the processed food, which can be bought in grocery stores, like the one we are now, are from genetically modified organisms, also known as GMs or GMOs. This is food in which someone has taken genes from one type of species and inserted it into another type of species. Also, it's the adding and removal of genes within one species, or in this case, a vegetable, to obtain a specific trait or characteristic.
Wait a second. Where is the label on these products so I can stop buying them and supporting this program?
Well, see, that's the problem. The United States doesn't require any food processor to label genetically modified foods. If we were to look at other nations around the world, we would see that they already have labels to require all genetically modified foods to be clearly labeled. Over 50 countries already require labeling on these products. The label must be clear enough so the consumer can decide for themselves whether to take the risk in letting their loved one consume this unnatural and unknown food. Sadly, the United States has no requirement at this time to require genetically foods to be labeled, so it is our duty to take into risk letting our loved ones consume this food.
There is no reason to label these foods, and doing so could create an unnecessary concern among the people of America. My name is Samantha Lansing, and I'm an agricultural scientist. Labels are meant to inform the people that if what they are consuming is harmful, but genetically modified foods do not fall under this category. Genetically modified foods are a great advancement for us. Take, for instance, the genetically modified salmon. This salmon is given the gene from an eel that allows it to grow at a much faster rate than others.
Maybe it really is the label that scares us all off. But is there a way for a shopper to avoid buying GMO products if they wish to do so?
Hi, my name is Levi Norton. I work for the Food and Drug Administration. Recently, we released a free iPhone app called the Shop No GMO. This app has 33 categories, including corn. This provides shoppers with a handy resource they can access right from the grocery store aisle. It is possible to avoid buying these foods. The most reasonable way is to shop at natural food stores. In the past few months, these stores have started labeling their foods non-GM ingredients.
Genetic engineering was made to make a difference. It has allowed for scientists like Samantha Lansing to produce a crop that can consume less water, grow in many different environments, and produce less carbon dioxide. I'm Riley Campbell with the World Food Program, also known as WFP. This is an organization devoted to fighting world hunger. Scientists have finally developed a crop that has helped farmers across the world. They can use a stronger pesticide and apply it to their yard without killing all the new crops, yet they get to maintain the land. Many people believe that we are having food hunger problems due to drought, but in all honesty, this is not true. It was reported that 950 million people went hungry in the year 2010, not due to drought, but due to the fact they can't afford to buy food. If farmers can produce more food for a lower cost, the cost of food will go down, and genetic engineering is a way to do this.
I love the idea of fighting world hunger, but are GMOs safe for our environment?
Many people believe GMOs have a negative effect on our environment and cause damage to other crops due to the fact one naturally carries pollen from one farm to another. I read in a study done at Cornell University that these crops do in fact harm our environment. To be more specific, the monarch butterfly. The study showed that almost half of the butterflies that ate milkweed leaves dusted with pollen from GM corn died within 4 days of doing so. A follow-up study done 1 year later showed that crops placed next to genetically modified crops had enough pollen on them to kill the butterfly.
According to the United States Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, more than 81% of soybeans and 40% of corn produced in the United States is genetically modified. So just to let you know, you've been consuming them for quite some time. The stepping stone to genetically modifying crops was to crossbreed plants that showed the characteristic that the farmer was trying to obtain. The words genetically modified or genetically engineered may scare people off, but they hold a good future for us if we could just give them a chance.
We must stop people from buying these foods, starting off with corn and stopping people from supporting these farmers. A report from a food documentary states if a GM food looks like a non-GM and grows like a non-GM, then it is assumed to be the same, and no safety testing is needed to be done before people consume it. Corn is the #1 food found in the genetically modified production line. Just last week, I read a report from the research center known as the PEW. They said that 53% of Americans would not eat genetically modified food if given the choice, while 83% believe genetically modified foods should be clearly labeled. Since the United States has no requirement in making genetically modified foods a requirement of labeling, consumers like me and you are forced to take matters into our own hands for our family's safety.
I must agree with you on that. We need to put a stop to this before it hurts our future generations.
I think we all know that labels have been known to either push you to buy something or pull you away. It was reported that over 53% of daily shoppers at grocery stores don't even understand labels. So people will be paying money that won't even be worthwhile. It'll just cause the consumer to be more stressful when they go to the store. It's not worth it.
This is ridiculous. Many people are concerned with the effects GM crops could have, as Kelly stated shortly ago. The main concern right now is the thought of cross-contamination. There is a petition in Washington State with the title, "It's Our Right to Know What We're Eating." I understand the need to know what we're all buying when we go to our local store. Ron Cummins states in his book, Genetically Engineered Food, a self-defense guide for consumers. You can summarize it in 3 words. GMOs are unpredictable, they're unlabeled, and they're untested. I'd have to agree with him.
Is it true that if I choose to buy organically, I will be avoiding GM products?
There are many misconceptions about genetically modified foods. People believe that by simply buying organic, that they're avoiding genetically modified products altogether. But this is false. Genetically modified farms can still produce GM crops as long as they follow their specific guidelines. The United States is the largest producer of genetically modified foods, and other countries such as Canada and Mexico have caught along to the trend of the future. Monsanto states right on their website that not a single incident of harm or illness has been connected to genetically modified crops.
Do farmers feed livestock feed that has been genetically modified?
Farmers have been feeding their animals genetically modified based food for some time now. This issue actually just came up recently due to a poultry company claimed in an advertisement their product had no GMO food involved, even though they were feeding their animal a 13% genetically modified soy-based feed. However, this shouldn't be an issue. There's no report that it affected the animal in any way during the process.
So if livestock consume genetically modified feed, does that then make them genetically modified? How does this affect the labeling process?
This is why labeling these products is outrageous. To take the time and effort, including or not even including the money cost, to make sure that all products is labeled is out of the question. The FDA stated that there is no difference in the animal or the final product after consuming a genetically modified based food. This is why labeling these products is ridiculous.
No one has the right to state that there is no harm done to future meat product. There has been no test to see if there is long-term harm to GM products. No one wants to be a science experiment. If we plant these crops in the ground, we only run the risk of contaminating other organic, non-modified crops.
Many points have been made today on the topic of labeling GM products. Kelly pointed out that we should take this matter into our own hands and protect our families. Samantha pointed out that GMOs are the ways of the future. Levi stated that GMOs can be harmful to our environment, and Riley stated that GMOs can help fight world hunger. I believe the issue of labeling GMOs is larger than what meets the eye and requires the attention of the whole community, not just myself. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Council, job well done. You guys are off to state, correct?
Yes.
State debate competition. So I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming and making us a little bit more knowledgeable about GMOs. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.